Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Creatives. I say good morning because I'm here in the UK, but good afternoon or good evening if you're anywhere else in the world. I'm Melanie Perry,
And I'm Julie Hyde-Mew.
and this is On the Couch with Creatives. Fans and followers of our show will know by now that we're part of the Creatives Group, the private network for creative professionals everywhere. Together, we help you to create at your best, connect you with like-minded individuals, therefore helping you to grow your creative business. If that sounds like a good idea to you and you'd like to find out more, please don't hesitate to reach out to us after the show. We'd really love to chat to you. But this is On the Couch. So, Julie, who do we have on the couch today?
We're talking on the couch today with singer RENÉE CULLEN. And she's a small town girl who grew up in the countryside in New Zealand, and she's now based in the UK. She released her debut album, Small Town Girls, towards the end of last year. So let's find out more about her and let's bring her on the couch. Hello, RENÉE. Welcome to On the Couch with Creatives.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here.
Well, it's super to meet you. Let's kick off with about where you come from, and then we'll go on to talking about your album. But let's talk about the small town girl from New Zealand.
Well, exactly. I'm a small town girl. I grew up in New Zealand. I grew up in a very small village of probably 500 people, and then I moved to a bigger town, but still a very small town. It's on the Coromandel Peninsula of New Zealand, so it's surrounded by water, it's surrounded by rainforest, mountains, country, just proper country, absolutely beautiful place and a beautiful part of the world. But I grew up with my mother, who was a singer, and music was always just a huge part of our life. So country music.
So when you say she was a singer and a country singer, you mean she was a professional singer?
She had to work, but she was a professional singer, yes. And she used to tour the country. She used to compete in they used to have country music events all over New Zealand. And she used to, at one stage, she just won everything. And she made it to the Entertainer of the Year. And I remember I was 12 years old watching her on stage, and I was so proud. I think I cried when I was watching her because I knew what it took for her to get to where she was, because she did have to work. And just seeing her on stage was such a huge inspiration for me. And I thought, from that moment, I just thought, that's what I want to do.
Gosh, that's amazing, RENÉE. Um, you started singing at an early age. When did your mother start maybe dragging you onto the stage, or when did she get you involved in music?
As she didn't have to drag me, I was up there as soon as I could. The first concert that I was ever in, I was 4 years of age, and I sung Delta Dawn. I just loved that song so much. But now when I look at the song, when I listen to the song, I think that's not really that appropriate for a 4-year-old.
It's pretty raunchy, isn't it? It's pretty raunchy.
Yeah, but so I was 4, and from 4 years of age, I continued singing. And my mum she wasn't a pushy mother, not like myself with my children. She just stood back and just she knew how much I loved it, and she just supported that. So yeah, it was wonderful growing up around music, and just the opportunities to be able to sing live was fantastic.
So you established yourself as a singer in New Zealand. And then what happened? How did you land up in the UK?
Well, I've always wanted to live in London from a very young age. Obviously, growing up in the country, that was a dream. It was a huge dream for me. I used to read all the novels. There was a novel called London that I read. It was huge. I used to read all the time and just dream of, it was this little country girl and looking out over the cows and just wanting to be in a big city and experience that type of life. And it was a dream of mine. And so as soon as I could, I left. And I'm
What did
still
your mother think of that, Renee?
still here now.
And you have 4 children. So you obviously, did you meet your husband here? Were the children born here?
Yeah, I met my husband on Piccadilly, and he's actually, I wrote part of a song about it. I turned up late to a lunch, and there was only one seat, and it was beside him. So that's how I met him. He's from Australia, and he started a company, a recruitment company in London, and then I got on board with that, and then we ended up staying a lot longer than we thought we were going to stay. The company became very successful, and we're still here. And we have four beautiful children.
And how old are they?
My son's 16, 14, 13, and 11.
Oh my word, you don't look old enough to have children of that age.
I feel
How
it.
do you balance the whole lifestyle of being a singer and bringing up 4 children? That's quite a hefty load.
It is. And having 4 of them, the way I see it now is when they were young, it was very exhausting. Now it's mentally exhausting. Now they're teenagers, it's mentally exhausting. It's all about, their lives and their problems, and and it's constant all the time. So it's tiring, but I just make sure they're all musicians as well. I make sure that they have interests and they have things that they love doing, and they're kept busy. So that works for us.
Brilliant. And you said you were more of a pushy mother than your mother was. How do you push your children, Renee?
Sometimes I sort of look back at, as they were growing up, they all took, they took piano, they took guitar, ukulele, singing lessons. They do performing arts school on a Saturday, and it's some days I'd have to drag them there and sort of push them in the door. But now it's all paying off. Now we had an open mic night in Cookham last night that we all went to. The children sung, they all got up there, played guitar, sung, I sung with some friends as well. And when I see them now, just the confidence that they have, I feel like it's all paid off. So I was definitely a bit of a tiger mum, but I feel like it's all paying off now. Hopefully they can see that too.
It's funny this, I mean, you obviously had a talented singer as a mother, you are a talented singer, your children are talented singers. I am not convinced that this is genetic because, my mother was Welsh and she and her sister sang like frogs. I'm one of 3 girls. We all sing like frogs. I'm related to half of Pembrokeshire, and they all sing like angels. So do you think that there is this genetic connection between the generations, or are you just lucky?
I'm not sure about genetic, because that's actually something I've thought about as well. But I do think I would sing while I was pregnant with all my children, and as soon as they were born, I would sing all the time. So we were singing constantly. And if you can hold a tune and you're a good singer, that's what they hear that's what they're hearing. And so they hear it and then they repeat the sounds. And I think that is what nurtures a good singer. I do know that some singers come from families exactly like you explained, where their parents don't sing, but I think that they still have a love of music. So they've heard the music and they have a good ear and they can, copy those sounds. And I think that with my kids, all of them sing, and they're all good singers. They're better than me. They are better singers than I am. So I think that from a young age of the constant music and the singing all the time, that's definitely helped them. My sister banned her mother-in-law singing in front of her daughter because she couldn't sing. She sung off tune really badly. She knows this, and I love her dearly, but she just said, please do not sing nursery rhymes to my daughter because she's singing them off tune. So there you go.
Okay, so how did you kick off your singing career in the UK?
Well, it actually all started because I had the 4 children, And I think I was nervous to start again. I wasn't sure. You go through that stage where you have such a break from it that I started questioning whether I could even sing. Can I actually sing? Am I even good? And when you put that self-doubt in your head, it was really hard to pick it back up again and start singing again, and especially in front of people. So I decided to see a voice coach to sort of maybe get that confidence back, just to sing to her and just, get my voice working again, because I hadn't been singing in quite a long time. And I went and saw her, and she was an award-winning, her name was Sarah, she was an award-winning musician herself. And I started singing, and she just was blown away. And she just said to me, she said, you have an amazing voice. You need to be using it. And I think that I just remember crying when she said that to me, because I doubted myself so much because I'd had such a break. And, you put this, it just got into my head a little bit. So she actually was the first person that gave me the confidence to continue singing. And that's when I started thinking, well, she's a, awarded musician. She knows what she's talking about. I can sing. I'm going to continue. And that's how it all started. And then from that, I put a demo down on a single. She helped me do it. And I think it was Adele, Make You Feel My Love, just to have one song there that I could, send to people. And my friend was in event management, and she saw the CD and she said to me, "What's this?" And I said, "Oh, it's me singing." And she said, "Can I listen to it?" And I was like, "No, not really. I'm not ready to, show anyone yet." And she said, "No, please let me listen to it." So she took it, she listened to it, and she just started crying while she was listening to it. And she said, "I didn't even know you could sing. This is amazing. We have to do something." So she actually put on a little event for me and invited lots of people. And it was actually in the Bella Dragon in the summer room where we have the media hub. And lots of people came, and that was the beginning of me starting to sing in front of people again.
Yeah.
So can we listen to it quickly?
Oh, the CD?
Yeah, your demo.
I don't have it. This was 8 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to certainly listen to a track or two from your album, because you've just, well, when I say just released an album, you released your first debut album towards the end of last year.
Yes, and it took me a long time to actually release it. It was probably 8 years of going through recording all the tracks. I did that with Stuart Epps, who's a producer. He used to be the manager of Elton John, and he's produced for amazing Robbie Williams, Led Zeppelin. He's become a very good friend of mine, and so has his wife. So he was very patient with me. But I kept going back and changing things, and it just took me so long. But 8 years, and yes, I released it, and it was done. We had a amazing album launch at the Half Moon in Putney, and that was probably one of the, apart from obviously getting married and having children, that was a highlight in my life. Because I got to sing with some amazing musicians, really amazing musicians. One of our producer, Rob Castell, who produced half of my album, he is an amazing musician, phenomenal musician, and knows these just amazing musicians who I was so fortunate enough to be able to sing with. And it was a dream come true.
Well, let's take a little listen, because I think we need to have a little listen to the beautiful voice of Renée Cullen.
She left the town for the city, where all the girls look so pretty, love the shine of the bright lights. She was addicted to the late nights. Oh, she met the girls in a downtown bar, that kinda had the same story, raised a glass to that old life. You know the future was looking bright, and when the nights they got dark, they'd be there holding her up. 'Cause there are angels in this city, there are angels in this city. They hold my hand when the nights ain't pretty, when the devil's breathing down your back. They bring you back from a heart attack. Oh, there are angels in this city. Call their names and they're always ready, gonna fly to me tonight. Bring the whiskey and the wine. There are angels in this city.
Wow, that was Angels in This City by the marvellous Renée Cullen. Renée, did you write that song yourself?
I did. I wrote it. I actually wrote it in lockdown. I'd gone back to New Zealand with my daughters during COVID, the COVID pandemic, and we were in a little hotel room. We had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and I was back in Auckland. And it just, my friends would drop off packages for me. They would drop things at the hotel, and it just made me think of the first time I met them in the city, in Auckland City, and being back there just brought up a lot of different emotions and feelings. They dropped off a guitar, so I had a guitar, and that's when I wrote it. It's about friendship and Girl Squad. Yeah. How important it is to have your friends around, and how we've nurtured each other over the years, and we've been there for each other. So,
well, those sort of themes really resonate with people. Love, friendship.
yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, did you write all the songs on your album?
I wrote 8 of the songs, and then my sister, she's also a musician, and she wrote 2 of the songs. So she wrote a karakia, which is a Māori prayer. She wrote that for a school that she was teaching in. She wrote it for their Māori music group. It's in Māori, which is what my father was Māori, so the Indigenous people of New Zealand. And I put that on it because it meant quite a lot. It meant a lot to my family. All my family have gone back to New Zealand, the children, and they've gone to school, to Opotiri School, which is who the song was written for. And they've all sung the song. And yeah, it meant a lot to have that song in there. And she wrote that. And then she also wrote Turn Back Time, which was about our father. So she wrote that after my father died. And she couldn't sing it because she can never get through the song. So she wrote it for me. And we were so lucky, because when she came over for the launch, Stuart said, well, we could get your sister in here and she can do the harmony on the song. And yeah, we were really lucky to have her also singing on the album as well.
Oh,
So,
lovely.
yeah.
Lovely.
And your family still live in New Zealand? Your sister and nieces?
They all live in the same small town. And I've just recently been back. I try and get back every year. It's a small surfing community town on the Coromandel Peninsula. They all live in the same town. We have a home there also, in a little bay over from the town. It's called Whangamatā. It's a tiny little beach. And we have a home there, so we go back to that. We take the children back every year so that they can see family and spend time with their cousins and get lost in nature. And we're really, really lucky to be able to go back. And they all live together, and it's easy because I can go home and go to one spot and they're all there.
Yeah, you don't have to travel around the whole country. Visiting friends and family. It's so exhausting. When I go home to South Africa, I'm exhausted. By the time I get back, I need a holiday.
Yeah.
But seriously, 4 children, so there's 6 of you who go over every year. It's a long flight. The tickets are horrendously expensive.
They have become extremely expensive, yes.
How on earth do you go? Okay, if you go over, there's two adults, obviously, and your children aren't so small now, but it's 2 days of traveling.
I know, and it's long, and we usually travel through China and have a really long stopover. So I think on the way back it was 9 hours. So they are seasoned travelers. They've been traveling since they were born. Like I think the first trip with all of them was 6 weeks old. So we've traveled. I mean, in the first year of my son's life, we'd traveled 5 or 6 times with him. So they are really used to it. They're used to it. And we actually find, obviously, when they were young, we'd travel. We'd all sort of share one adult between 2 toddlers. Now we sort of like they travel away from us because they're actually better behaved when they are not sitting with us. So they just get on with it. Otherwise, it's like mum, dad. So they sort of like we sort of sit. They sit together in the middle in the 4 seats, and then Paul and I sit together. Works well that way.
So what about gigs? Do you do a lot of gigs?
I've just started doing because I was back in Australia and New Zealand, and I've just come back. So I've got some really exciting things coming up. I've just started a collective group with Rob Castell, who is he was a producer on the album. He's an amazing musician. So we've joined a collective group with the same musicians that played at my launch, my album launch. It's called the Cullen Castell Collective, and we have our first gig together on the 11th of May at the Odney Club in Cookham. So that's going to be the beginning of many, we hope. Then we'd like to go onto the Troubadour in London and start doing more gigs in London and, get that on a roll. So I'm really, really excited about that. And I felt when Rob approached me and said, this is what I'd like to do, I couldn't believe that he wanted me. I just thought that was a very, very exciting time. Because I think you always have that self-doubt. It's always there. I talked about when I went to, had been out of singing for so long, and went to the voice coach for the first time. And there's that little part in your head that sort of you just doubt yourself. I do.
Yeah, we all
I just
do.
a little bit.
We all
So
do
when
that.
he asked me, I was just, it's for me that's a perfect group. So I'm really excited about that.
The one thing is to surround yourself by people who will support you, and of course you give back the support. So it's very important, especially as a creative, to have a tribe.
I agree. And I think that's it. When you're in the music industry and when you start meeting musicians and performing more, you really do start learning a lot about how it all works, and the supporting one another and going and supporting other people who are performing as well. It means a lot, and it's just to have that support it's very important. It was like I said last night, Rob has started this live mic night, which is, it was absolutely packed. And he asked me to come along. Him and his friend have started it and, do a few songs. But it was amazing. It was an amazing night. And just to have that live music, and also just to support other musicians, because it all comes back. Definitely, it's full circle. Yeah.
So your plans for 2024 are more gigs. Do you have plans for another album?
Oh, gosh, if you had asked me this last year, I would have said absolutely no way am I going to do another album. That is me done. But yes, I am. I'm still writing we were in New York in October, and I wrote a song. I wrote a song while I was there, and I actually didn't think last year when I released Small Town Girls, I didn't think that I would ever write again, or in the very, I definitely would not be bringing out another album. But as things go, I haven't stopped. So I think it's on the cards. Yeah, definitely.
Now, for somebody like you, obviously you are starting a bit later in life, your singing career. What would your top 3 tips be for people who are talented singers and do want to go on the stage and do want to record albums? What are your top 3 tips?
Yeah, I was thinking. I've been thinking about this, and I wrote down so many things, and I know I've only got. I can only choose 3. But
you can give us 4.
Yeah, you were happy with more. The more, the merrier.
And I was thinking, what makes? I think I wanted to say uniqueness and that little bit of crazy, and I just thought, because I think that you need to have something about you that is different and that is unique and that is intriguing. So I think that's one tip is, just be yourself and don't be afraid to be yourself. And I would say that I have that little bit of crazy in me, and I think I used to sort of like try and hide that, but now I've realized that that's actually what people warm to, and that's what they really like about me. And when I show that side to me, that's when people connect with me more. So I think definitely, be yourself and be unique, and don't be afraid to just to be yourself. Belief is was the number 1 on my list. You have to, if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. And I think that was the hardest thing for me growing up in a small town. Obviously I actually studied acting at university, but the belief in myself actually didn't come until I was a lot older. And I keep looking back and thinking, if I had just had that belief, which I have now, it's just so important to believe in yourself. So belief and dedication. Obviously, dedication is you've got to keep going, and you've just got to keep being creative, and just keep going. Don't give up. And I know that sound a little bit cliche, but it is something you just, sometimes I'm moving along and still doing my music and sharing things, and you start thinking, is anyone even listening to this? Is anyone even watching this? And then all of a sudden I'll get a message from someone in South America saying how much they loved Angels in the City, or someone saying, oh, I loved Small Town Girls, and this is people that I don't even know, and that has given me the inspiration to want to create more and want to write more. And it's those days that you really hold on to and think, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah,
it's every creative pursuit. If you don't put the hard work in, it's not going to happen. Simple as that.
No, exactly. No one's going to come along and just say, yes, here you go, I'm going to sweep you off your feet and I'm going to make you a star. That's doesn't happen. It's the hard work and dedication that gets you,
and not being afraid as well. I think you touched on something really important there, because again, I had a friend who loved singing, and her dream was of making it. And I said to her years ago, you're not going to make it if nobody hears your stuff.
So true.
And I said, why aren't you, she plays the guitar and all of that and sings. I said, why aren't you putting stuff out on YouTube? Or, because these days it is so much easier to get heard. You can have free accounts on Spotify to start off with, on YouTube, on Facebook even, until you could afford to buy better equipment or maybe go and rent space in a studio, whatever. There's a lot of artists that have just restarted in their bedrooms, but they've been getting their stuff out for years.
Well, Ed Sheeran, Adele, they would never, ever have been discovered if it wasn't for TikTok and YouTube and never.
Mm. Yeah, and that's what exactly what I say. What you just said, Melanie, to your friend is exactly what I said to my daughter, because my daughter writes her own music. She's 14. She plays the guitar, and she just won't put herself out there on TikTok. And she's done a few things, and I said, you just have to get out there. I said, I know it's hard. I know how hard it is. You're 14. And she said, but I'm writing about love, and and it feels very personal, and I don't really want to. And I said, but Kiana, if you want to be a musician and that's what you want to be, because that is what she wants to be, I said, you've got to put yourself out there, because no one's going to hear you. No one's going to hear you in your bedroom, but they will if you record yourself in your bedroom and share it. And you've got to just block all the negativity out. It's just I don't even read it. I don't even let it get into my head. I just say no. I'm only taking positive.
Well,
And
she has a few years to mature, you know. What she feels about love now as a 14-year-old is going to be completely different to how she feels about it at 18 or 25.
so true. That's so
But
true.
as creatives, it is difficult because we, like one of our other ladies who was on the couch, Brigitte, a wonderful photographer, you know, one of her top tips, she said, you have to make friends with social media. Now that applies across the board, whether if you're in business and you're wanting to let people know about you, you have to make friends with social media. You have to be on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. Toby Gorniak, another one, fantastic hip hop artist that runs amazing dance classes for kids. And he says, show us your art, show us. Create the work, do the work, create the work, create the art, but show us. Go and perform in your town centre if you're a dancer. You know, get a friend to film it, put it on social media. You know, just show us what you've got, because it's quite selfish to keep that talent to yourself. There, I said it. You know, there are lots of people who will enjoy your dance, who will enjoy your singing, who will enjoy your art. You know, give them the chance to enjoy it, because okay, there'll be a lot of people who might be, you know, negative ninnies, but there'll be a lot of people who won't.
Yeah, it's true.
And you're very lucky in that you live in the same village here in the UK as such a well-established and renowned music producer as Stuart Epps.
Yes, I know. And it was meeting him all those years ago. It was my friend Sarah Parfitt that introduced me. And from then on, we've done a lot of singing together. He produced my first single, which was called Old Coast Road, and that did really well. And he just lives across the road, so he recorded. He did all the. So I'd just go across to his studio, walk across the road, and lay down the vocals.
So there was no busking in underground tube stations for you in London. You just cross the road, go and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, and it was always very therapeutic. It was like every time I went to him to put down a vocal, I always said, it's like going to therapy coming here with you, because I'd sit on his couch, we'd have a talk, and and we'd put the vocal down, and it was such a lovely experience doing that with him. So
he's a very nice man. We've had him on the couch.
Yeah, he is. He's great. He's great.
He's lovely.
Right, we're going to find out a little bit more about you now, Renee. What makes you tick?
Yeah, inside that beautiful mind of yours. We're going to play a little game, a little values jam game. So I'm going to just spread my cards out, and I'm going to run my finger along the cards, and then you're just going to yell stop, and we'll choose a value for us to talk about.
Okay. Stop.
Stop. Right. Let's have a look. What did you pick? And because we're creatives, we're obviously going to ask you creatively about these values. You've probably never been asked about values in this way before, and you probably will never be asked this way again. But yeah,
there's no right or wrong answer here. Just say what comes into your head.
This is a good card. Our guests pick the most brilliant cards. It's quite spooky. You picked enjoyment. So, Renee, what does enjoyment mean to you? First of all, we're going to ask you, what does it look like?
Like a summer's day.
Oh.
That's what enjoyment is to me.
Oh, I love that. What does it feel like?
Tingly all over my body.
Ah.
Mhm.
And being a musician, what does it sound like? If it had a sound, what would it be?
Oh, it's like I was going to say euphoria. That's not sound. It's
Euphoric sound, yeah, like a ding with the air guitar or something.
it sounds like harmonious. Harmonious. I'm going to say harmonious because I love harmony. So and when something's harmonious and with different voices blended together, I love that sound. So I'd say harmonious.
Good answer.
Almost like an angelic choir.
Yeah, more like Fleetwood Mac.
Oh yeah.
And if it
So
had,
we are going to play out with another song of yours, purely because we want to listen to some more music. But we just want to, before we do that, thank you so much for coming on the couch, Renee. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, and we wish you all the best for your career going forward.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Thanks so much.
it's been absolutely delightful. And thank you everybody for joining us on the couch and tuning in today. But here is some more of the wonderful Renée Cullen.
Looking back at old photographs of you, traveling at the back of a rundown you. We'd have the music on, we'd all be singing your songs, traveling down the old coast road with you. I wish I could have known then that there's no need to pretend. I wanna ride the old coast road.